to realize that there's some priority targets out there. There's targeted spear phishing going on. That is typically aimed at the leadership or anyone in particular with financial approving authority in your organization, to trick them into doing things like wire fraud, right? So if I get the credentials and it's to someone who can authorize, a wire transfer or something like that, wow, I've got the golden nugget right there, right? So what I typically recommend is, number one, you have an ATP policy, number one, for all your users. Then you have another one that's assigned here for your leadership team, for those, again, that are more high profile, that have more advanced capabilities within your company. It helps limit the damage that's out there. So I'm going to click on this one here, right? And you're going to see, I'll call out the difference here. So in here, I've got my policy name. I've just got a brief description. I've got the members who it's assigned to, and this is a fictitious demo Office 365 tenant here. So everything you see in here looks real, but it's really not. Just made up names. So just for the sake of this example here, these 5 people listed are the executive leadership team for this company, right? So it's applied to them. I've got, and then we go down here to the next area. I'm protecting all the domains I own. In this case, it's just one, right? I've got it applied to 5 people. What's going to happen when we identify these messages coming in? Well, I don't want these going to my users. I don't, even if it's in their junk email folder, because I don't want to have them don't want to run the risk of having them click on something and activate the phishing attack, right? So I just quarantine it, right? And there is a way within the portal that you can see any of these quarantine messages, because again, you want to make sure that you're not blocking anything real coming in. So I've also have the option to set up safety tips, so that if something comes in and we detect that it looks, hey, maybe it could be phishing, but maybe it's not, and we want to let it go by, we're going to put a tip up top and say, hey, this may look like it came from someone internally, but really it came from the external side, right? And it's a banner that's up top, for example. You want to have every additional bit of intelligence you can add into this to help make the user really think about what they're doing before they do it, the better off you're going to be. Then, of course, we've got mailbox intelligence in here. We've got spoofing detection capabilities that's on, and what happens to that. This one here is going to the junk email folder area. And then we've got this one down here, and this is the difference really between the 2 policies that I've got set up here for our example. So if I edit this, the advanced phishing thresholds, I've put that up a notch, right, for ATP, for my leadership team, because they are the most heavily targeted. You're going to find the more well-crafted emails going into this, the more time has been spent for these targeted individuals to try to trick them to giving up their credentials. So we ramp that up just a notch, right? Again, if you crank it up, you just have to watch and make sure you're not capturing anything in quarantine that is legitimate company email, right? So let's get out of here. And that's the difference. So you can create additional policies in here for different teams of people and so forth. That really, this is going to depend on what's best for your environment, right? What is the organizational structure? But typically start out with these 2. You've got a policy for everyone, then you've got a policy for your leadership team. So let's go in here and let's run, so this is the technical side, but you have to realize that phishing emails, they will get through. Spam emails will get through. That's the cat and mouse game, right? So what do you have left at the end of the day? Well, there's a lot of different settings that you can put in place for when that phishing does come in, but above all else, it's user education, right? It's constant user education. This is not we're not setting this up and saying, hey, we've reached the finish line. We have to continue to run. You always have to stay ahead of this and understand what's going on. This is just a fake reminder that came up. I'll dismiss that. So what we have built into Office 365 is what we call the attack simulator. So from here, I'm going to click on this, and I can do multiple things in here. I can create a spear phishing attack. I can do a brute force password attack and a password spray attack. I'm going to focus here for the next few minutes just on the spear phishing attack, right? These are simulations, right? And I can really track and see, hey, how much of a problem do I have with my user environment not being educated? In other words, I'm going to send this out and try to trick them into clicking on the simulated phishing campaign, and I'm going to track that. right? So let me design one here real quick. So I'm going to launch this attack, right? I'm just going to call it a test demo attack. I'm going to use a template. I don't have to. I can come up and design it however I'd like, but I'm going to call it a payroll update, right? Just from our template. I'll hit next, right? Who do I want to attack? Well, I'm going to attack Megan, and I'm going to attack. Let's see who comes up. Oops, there we go. Adam. You could put multiple names in here. We'll just do the 3 for right now. I'll click on next, right? There's my subject. Here's what the phishing email will look like. You can look at the HTML, the source code for this, which is HTML in the background. We can click on next. You can edit that text however you like. And then finally, I'm prompted, hey, do you want to proceed? Well, sure, let's attack our users. We'll click on finish, and the attack is launched. The difference with this tool, as opposed to other tools that are out there, is that this tool is internal to Microsoft. You're bypassing our external filters when you do this here. So when we look at this, let's go to Megan's account, which is one of the accounts who I emailed, right? So when I look at this, usually it might take a few minutes for it to come through, but there are other campaigns in here that I set up. So here's Megan's account, and you can see an attack that came through. It's asking you to update your account details, your Megan and so forth. Hey, it looks legit to me, right? Something else you can do in here is you can make this even more real. I can set up, see this SMTP address, it's the full address written out. I can create an alias for this address in my system and have it resolve. So it looks even more real, like it came from the inside, right? So I'm gonna fall for this. I'm gonna click here, I'm gonna update my account details. It's asking me to sign in. Notice the website up here. Oops, skip by all of this, right? This is part of the tool. So I'm going to Megan B at M365X. Sign in here as her. Sign in, and that's what I get. If this had been a real phishing campaign, I just gave up my username and password, right? So this has been forwarded to a website that's part of the tool. When we set up this attack, we could have instead put in here a customized URL. Maybe it's an internal site that you want to set up and run to educate your users, maybe provide them with a link to a few videos or something for additional user education and so forth. But this is the phishing attack simulator, right? So you've got the technical end, which is the policies for anti-phishing to set that up. But then you also have to remember there's that human element that you have to keep in mind, that you have to always be sending out attacks like this, right? So when I click back in here to Attack Simulator, I can go in here and now I can view a report. So let's view the report. And I targeted multiple users, right? One made it in. That was Megan. Right, so we do identify the names. We say, hey, the link was given. They clicked on the link, but maybe they stopped. Maybe the credential was not supplied, and if that were the case, this would be blank here. But some things to keep in mind is that this is not meant to out anybody. I'll say it's just to identify, hey, which users in the environment could use a little bit more education. Right, and maybe you can use this list of those who did click on the link or supply their credentials, even more so, come up with an email directed at them to saying, hey, you clicked on this was a simulation, please take this additional training within the next couple of weeks and go from there. But like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot more to this beyond the Exchange Online protection, the advanced threat protection, and then of course the user education attack simulator. There's a lot of policies within Microsoft Azure and so forth that you can set up to help protect your environment from phishing attacks should they land in a user's inbox and someone click on that. And that's where we have a lot of great partners such as Agile IT that you can certainly get in contact with, and they'll walk you through all those settings and take it from there.